strain, but you not refrain, you not refrain. I remember you say Liberation Day, and I ask, you sure is that you wanna say? Cause you sounded so good to believe. And deception is a powerful thing when you lose your rightful thinking. So we voted for the bling. But you trick us with campaign promises. We won't say a tease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain. But you now refrain, you now refrain. Yellow, yellow all the way is what everybody say. Cell phone ring, man answering. Yellow, yellow, no hello. Teeth get yellow, house get yellow, bus get yellow, man get yellow, even green get yellow, and so says 11-4. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay a tease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain, you now refrain. Old school parables say you know what you have, but you don't know what you go get. So cherish what you have to diminish regret. But what on earth lasts forever? Not even things created by the great Jehovah. So the green grass ceased to grow to allow the yellow vibes to flow. But boy, one song I sing, one bell I ring. If we didn't know, we never know yellow would have treated us so. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay a tease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain, you now refrain. They began with the blame game, giving NNP more fame. Past administration, the cause of frustration. Past administration, chief of corruption. Then to economic recession, we can't give you attention. Economic recession, the cause of poverty in the land. Economic recession, no employment for the ordinary man.
And a good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique once again. It is time for Talking Points. My name's Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. It's now 12 minutes after the hour of 8. Yeah, slightly late tonight. Yeah, due to no fault of our own technical problems. You know, there's Murphy's Law. Is Murphy's Law? Yeah, whatever can happen will happen sometime or the other. Yeah, so that is what happened with us. So just making sure everything is up and running properly, that we get everything going. We have a guest that will be joining us in a few minutes. They'll be joining us on the line in a few minutes. They're not on island, but they'll be joining us in a few minutes. We'll be joined by Dr. Augustine Pancho. Yes, a clinical psychologist. I hope I'm saying the right thing for the man, and I want to get a proper title and thing. So we'll have him joining us in a little while, and we'll be having a conversation with him. So meanwhile, tell a friend, tell your families, even tell your enemies. Yeah, the neighbor next door doesn't talk to you, say it loud so they're going to go and tune in to the Talking Points that Talking Points is on.
Throughout Grenada, 1,000 Frenchmen can never be wrong, but you hold your yellow conviction strong. So why not send them advisors home? They're sucking money like water in foam. And rehire the Imanis, less stress on the economy. You and Manchester hold up the country. You didn't see us down by the Bury when they sent SSU to beat we. Trick us with campaign promises, we won't say a tease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. So we've heard about your internal division, but some can't digest that one. Remember the man say he's an asset to the party? And will we vote you without him? You left him with Glenn alone. Maybe they cloned. And however, I foresee a pretensive unity that will mislead a lot just before the next ballot. But you guys will have to come real good, cause it's a long time Grenada ain't eat a food. You think politician good? Trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay a tease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. You remember in the Bible, God had a plan for Jonah to restore Nineveh. But who will restore Grenada? Is it the same Jonah? Lots of doubt, so I ain't running up my mouth. And I ain't counting no chicken before the hatch. Politicians sometimes farm a crop.
Wow, and let me get to it. Let me say a good night to you, Denise, Winnie, Gil, Landon, Charlene, Tati, I see you're there, Ingrid, Charmaine, Keisha. Yeah, I'm saying a special good night to all of you over there on the Facebook. And let me go over onto the YouTube. And as usual, Matthew, let me say a special good night to you first. Errol Bonaparte, Shuma, Jeremiah, and Andrews. Baby Daddy, good night to you. Cynthia Bartholomew, Kathleen Knight, and Beavis John. Mr. Watts, I see that you are in first on the YouTube tonight. A special good night to you, my brother.
If you want good health, and for real, we appreciate the free.
Jakeem Williams, good night.
So what we do from January to November? Suck salt and drink now as water. When you trick us with campaign promises.
So I said at 8:30 we'll be joined by Dr. Augustine Panchu. We're going to be having a nice discussion. You know when we have the discussions on talking points, then things does happen. Remember last year, we were the ones that tell the police and them, hey, you can't have robbery and thing taking place, and all you ain't coming and tell the people nothing. And then the next morning, we said it at Thursday night, the next morning, by 6 o'clock, the media start to get messages that they're having a press conference. You understand? We talk about the pay and grade. Next thing you see, they start to work on the pay and grade and they start to see all kind of thing coming out. We talk about COVID-19. Now, poor Dr. Sean Charles. They have him on all different programs. They're trying to send him around now to give information. All right? But it's we right here. Dr. Braffett was on with us last week, and he was able to speak about COVID-19. He also made another appearance, both himself and Mrs. Ann David Antwine. They both made an appearance speaking about the healthcare sector and COVID-19 and so earlier this week. So now you see the government trying to come and talk about. I tell you, I don't know why they have a press secretary, waste of time right now. Listen, we could just do away with that position for now, because it ain't making sense, you understand?
This is not politics. Please don't forget, I'm just practicing to be a poet. Not qualified as yet, but have no fear. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, Talking Points family, you all have the people frightened. Yeah, they say Talking Points is now the most dangerous program on the island of Grenada. Yeah, they even say it might possibly be the most dangerous program in the Southern Caribbean. And it's all because of you, the viewers and listeners who tune in to Talking Points on a nightly basis. Yeah? So give yourself a pat on the back, eh? They say they had to find some way of shutting down Talking Points. That we get the information, and we know some of the things they're planning. So we know that they're planning certain things. So they're planning how can they shut down Talking Points. Remember when we started this program, and it continues to this day, they keep reporting our pages. They report our Facebook page. The amount of reports they try already to try and get the Talking Points page shut down. But we don't do the wrong things on Talking Points. We just speak the facts. Yeah? We interact and we speak the facts and we speak about what's going on in our country. But they want to shut us down. They want to shut us up. So from the very first program, and you realize my voice is giving a bit of problems tonight. From the very first program, they've been reporting our page and trying to shut us down. But they know it's not us alone they're fighting against. You have to fight against the Most High because I'm praying. Reading my Bible and I'm praying. Yeah, so it's not Talking Points alone you have to worry about. When you're trying to fight the program, you ain't fighting me alone. I have backup. Yeah, spiritual backup. So you can't shut the program down.
But you trick us with campaign promises. We won't say it is. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain.
So we'll be having a discussion with Dr. Panchu in a short while. I'll have to call him in, yeah.
Is what everybody say.
So I'm going to do that at exactly 8:30.
Hello, teeth get yellow, house get yellow, bus get yellow, man get...
Meanwhile, we continue to ask, where's Teacher Jude? Yeah? We continue to ask the question, where's Teacher Jude? Nice? Yeah, I really want to know where's Teacher Jude. That's very important for me to know.
Nah, refrain. You nah, refrain. Old school parables say you know what you have, but you don't know what you go get. So cherish what you have to diminish regret. But what on earth lasts forever? Not even things created by the great Jehovah. so the green grass ceased to
Let me see if that has helped the voice.
Aye. But boy, one song I sing, one bell a ring. If
Yeah, we ain't afraid. No, one thing. Yeah, Kathleen, you know, we ain't afraid. Let me see what they're saying over on Facebook. We ain't afraid. They could send their trolls. They could do all kind of thing. We ain't afraid. We saying what we have to say. And folks, to my listeners out there in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, I would like to offer my condolences to the family, the friends of Vinnie, as I just call her, Vinnie Kojo, who has passed to the great beyond. Just as I was about to start talking, I got the message, and I made sure that it was confirmed by one of my friends out there in Carriacou, person who I trust I could take information from. So I'd like to pass on my condolences to the friends and family of Venetia Kojo out there in Carriacou. And I know what she would have wanted is for me to continue fighting, and that's what I will make sure we're doing. Yeah.
country going, oh, fine. We are looking into it. Never mind. Only projects in pipeline. No water to cool down the yellow temperature. When will they start? Please answer that. Oh, soon. Maybe by the next full moon. Although things are turning at a very slow pace, we now run no race.
So we have, we getting doctors back to back, you know. Yeah, so we have Dr. Augustine Panchu tonight. And on Monday, we're going to be having Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell in studio with, and you know, they're afraid that too, you know. They know Dr. Mitchell coming on Monday. So they're trying all kind of things to derail it. What are they so afraid for? If they say Dr. Mitchell done and he days done, and if they're saying all them kind of thing, why are they so afraid of him having a platform to speak? Why are they so afraid of this program? If they believe that they are so strong, why do they have to be circulating all sorts of nonsensical information about a political organization that they say they're afraid? They say they mash up and they destroy it and it gone through. But every week they have to send out all kind of fake message on WhatsApp talking about this and that happening in the New National Party. And they worried about things like leadership in the New National Party. Why are they so worried? If you're so strong and you're so confident that you ain't facing out the high likelihood of a very short one term. Yeah, that term look like he get cut. A short one term. If you're sure that you're not facing the possibility of a short one term, then why you have to be circulating all this false information? Every other day something else they're sending out. Every other day they have to be circulating something. That shows desperation. Yeah, they are very, very afraid. And they don't want the New National Party to have a voice out there. They don't want the NNP to be speaking. The same way they don't want NNP supporters to have a job. Look, and let me say it publicly here, because I want all to know what happened. The Public Workers Union ought to have had a meeting in Carriacou today to discuss the issues of the workers that were sent home in Carriacou. Let me say that again. The Public Workers Union, PWU, that's the union headed by Mr. Brian Grimes, was supposed to have a meeting, because I picked up from various sources what took place. They were supposed to have a meeting in Carriacou to discuss the issue, right? I'm not sure if it's in Carriacou or on mainland, and I will reconfirm for you in a while. But the meeting was supposed to take place today for them to discuss the issues of the many workers that have been sent home by the NDC administration in Carriacou. And up to this time, it's now 8:24. The PS in Carriacou never show up. You understand what I'm saying? That the Ministry of Labor, together with the Public Workers Union, they were having a meeting today to discuss the workers who were sent home by the NDC administration. And remember, these workers were sent home fully and only because of their political leaning or their perceived political leaning. And I keep saying the two. Because some people, you may believe a person supports a particular political party, but when they go into the voting booth, it's them and God alone with a pen, a pencil, and the ballot. So they're perceived. In fact, some of the early letters, the first set that was getting letters, were that you were seen in an activity, or you were seen in this and you were seen in that sort of thing. So, Mr. Javon, P.S. Javon out there in Carriacou, was supposed to be part of that meeting today and did not show up. In other words, he just disrespect the Public Workers Union and disrespect the Ministry of Labor. He ain't care. Or you could have all your meeting if all you want. I ain't coming to answer no questions. I ain't coming to defend myself or defend what the ministry has done in Carriacou. It's like that individual, that so-called PS up there in Carriacou, has a special hatred for people. So he moving around just getting rid of people willy-nilly. And the letters, the first set of letters, clearly showed that it was because of the political leaning of these individuals. There are other people in Carriacou working in ministries who are jumping up election night wearing yellow t-shirts. Did they get letters to go home? People in Carriacou, you know what I'm saying is true. And the video is there. There were public workers with the NDC t-shirt jumping up in Carriacou election night. Same as here in Grenada. You see any of them get letters to go home? But those who were wearing a green t-shirt and were involved with the new National Party have been sent home. And when a meeting is called so that the Public Workers Union, the Ministry of Labor, and Mr. Javon could come in to speak about the issues and see, listen, we could negotiate, probably the workers could come back and different things like that. He just ain't show up. He mean he ain't care. They gone home and they gone home. He ain't care about them. That's the kind of attitude that you have going on in Carriacou. But don't worry. Every day, the next election gets closer. And every day is a day further from the last election. And pretty soon you'd realize that you have less days to the next election than you had from the last one. Wait, it's coming. He ain't going.
Cell phone ring, man answering. Yellow, no hello. Teeth get yellow, house gets yellow, bus gets yellow, man get yellow, even green get yellow, and so says 11-4. When you trick us with campaign.
Kisha Walcott, good night to you.
Stay your tease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. Old school parables say you know what you have, but you don't know what you go get. So cherish what you have to diminish regret. But what on earth?
Yeah, believe me, that one about Vinny can catch me off guard tonight, believe me.
Yeah. So the green grass ceased to grow to allow the yellow vibes to flow. But boy, one song I sing, one bell I ring. If we didn't know, we never know yellow would have treat us so. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. They began with the blame game, giving NNP more fame. Past administration, the cause of frustration. Past administration, chief of corruption. Then to economic recession, we can't give you attention. Economic recession, the cause of poverty in the land. Economic recession, no employment for the ordinary man. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. All your projects are talking up.
I'm just going to try now to get Mr. Panchu on the line, so let me just do that right now. And you know what? Let me play a nice song for you all. Yeah, listen to this song carefully. I always play this song and I say listen to it carefully.
When will they start? Please answer that.
All right, like we ain't getting a chance to listen to the song. I believe I have Miss Dr. Panchu online. Good night to you, sir.
Good night, Sheldon, and all of the beautiful listeners on
Well,
tuned in
talking points.
tonight and to Talking Points. It's really a pleasure to have been able to be invited to this very illustrious program.
Well, we thank you so very much because you are yourself a very illustrious person. So we're glad to have you on the program. So far it seems as though we only interviewing doctors.
Uh, well, well, well. That might be a good thing. I think the nation right now is in crisis, and because of that, it might be very important for us to be able to have some people who are well qualified to diagnose and to do some treatment.
Yes, yes.
We had Dr. Berth Brathwaite last week. He was really good informing us and helping us to understand some of the health challenges that we are going to be faced, and not just health challenges, but in the immediacy, the upsurge in COVID-19 and the various new strain that is present, and how it is that we need to be able to address it, and we need to be able to talk about it. I mean, right now I'm in the United States, and people are starting to get a little worried and concerned, so they're back into the hand sanitization and the mask wearing, etc. And so that was a very good session. And so I know you are having the political leader on Monday, and this is a session that I really don't want to miss. And so it's good to have me in the middle of these two great gentlemen.
All right. Before we go forward, many people have heard about Augustine Panchu. Some people may have heard your name in passing. Tell us a little bit about who is Dr. Augustine Panchu. I know you're a Grenadian,
Well,
but I mean that's the best thing you could be. But anything after that.
yeah. Born and raised from the beautiful village of Tivoli, so I am a country boy, and I'm a country boy at heart. And my attended the Tivoli Arts School, then Grenada SDA Comprehensive, and then for my tertiary education, I went to the University of the Southern Caribbean in Trinidad, and then Loma Linda University in California, and the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. And so, and during all my years, my youthful years, I worked as a teacher. I worked at the Tivoli Arts School, then I taught at Grenada SDA Comprehensive, then I worked at the Youth Center. In fact, Mr. Greenage and myself, we were handed the keys from the Taiwanese for the Youth Center at Grand Anse at Montrouge.
Wow.
I mean, and I worked there for a little while, and then I decided to pursue a doctorate in psychology. So I migrated to the United States, and then in 2019, I heeded to the call of the government then and the Ministry of Social Development, and I returned as the consultant clinical psychologist for the department, the Ministry of Social Development. And then when the government law changed, my contract was terminated by the current government, and so presently I am without a job. But so I'm surviving, and that's who I am. I don't know anything else but to be patriotic to Grenada and its development and its people.
Of
Yeah,
course.
so that's who I am.
Indeed. And so you specialize in psychology, clinical psychology? I want to get the
Yes,
term proper.
yes. My specialty is clinical psychology. There are many branches of psychology. You have counseling psychology, you have educational psychology, you have organizational psychology, industrial psychology, forensic psychology, and clinical psychology. And so clinical psychology is a specialty in psychology, where you are trained to do evaluations. My specialty is forensic evaluation, and so I can look at someone and I can test them and kind of figure out, and I have done. So, for example, what I do when I am in Grenada for the High Court, before the judges would sentence someone who has been found guilty, um, he or she will ask for an evaluation. I'll go in there into the prison system and do the evaluation, submit a report, and that will help guide the judge in deciding the sentences. Sometimes we see a crime and we just don't know the fact around it, and we think, oh, this person should be given this time. And then when you do the psych evaluation, sometimes you realize that the person may not have been, cognitively aware of what was going on in at the time of the crime, or probably in their life, and that will help to guide the judges. So I do a lot of that, and some educational evaluations too. So that's what a clinical psychologist does. He or she does more evaluations, more getting into the mind and understanding behaviors of people. Yeah.
Okay. Moving right along, we have a situation, and I'm sure because I know you listen to Talking Points, you listen to other programs, and you keep in touch with what's going on at home here in Grenada. We have a situation now with the workers at the Marketing and National Importing Board. Let's look at them first of all, who are under, I like to call it, the sword of Damocles. They don't know when that sword is going to drop and who it's going to chop. They're going to work every day in a situation where you pretty much don't know if the next day or the next month or the next week you're going to still be working. Give us some insight into how this could affect these workers on a psychological level.
I tell you this, Sheldon, one of the things that the human, just the human, wants to be able to thrive in is predictability, calm, and certainty, security and safety. And you get optimum production from people when they are in a state of equilibrium. That's what we call it. We say we're in a state of equilibrium. Things are predictable in your life. You get up in the morning, your car could start. You have food in the refrigerator that you can make breakfast. You have some money in your wallet or probably in the bank, and you can pay your bills or you can pay the bus. And then you know that at the end of the week you are going to get a salary, or at the end of the month you're going to get a salary, and that you can pay your bills, you can send your children to school, you can take care of your groceries, and you can pay all of your utility bills. That sort of predictability in one's life helps him or her to experience a better emotional state, psychological state, as physical well-being. I mean, your mind, we call it, Sheldon, we say your mind, my mind is at rest. I am at, and so when that equilibrium is shattered or dismantled, as we have a case right now with MNIB, you have to put it in perspective. It's not just what is going on now, the consultation, the meetings with the board, and with the workers, but you have to put it in context, because in the very first town hall meeting, in the very first opportunity that this current government had, they put MNIB on blast. They put them out there in the public, and there was discussion that MNIB is in danger of its existence was in danger. So think of the number of months where that uncertainty from about the workers and their situation have existed. Now, this is not a healthy situation. This is not a healthy situation. Just the fact that the workers knew that somehow their job security was in danger, placed them in this unpredictable, anxious, stressful situation. So just that. We were not even going into a lot of the other far-reaching effects yet. We're just talking about you as a government, you take over and then you made marketing a national important board a subject of scrutiny. So all of the workers, hundred workers, are wondering what is going to happen to me. So the human being, we thrive. We our best production is given when we're at peace of mind. And from that moment, MNIB and its entire workforce have been in psychological distress.
So,
Okay.
so this is the situation that they are in. The workers themselves. But I've been hearing one or two stories. In fact, a mother related to me, not at the MNIB, but a mother who was sent home from another entity by this administration related to me, how her children were reacting to it. And you have children, some of them going to write CPA, you have some that are going to write their CXCs and so, or at TAMCC, and wondering now if mommy and daddy, or mommy or daddy, because single parents in some instances, are going to be able to send me to school. Speak a little to the effect now in the home circle, outside of just the parent themselves who may have lost their job or has the possibility of losing their job. What's the effect on the children, the rest of the household?
Okay. So let me tell you how I am foreseeing how our discussion, and I'm hoping that I would have some time. Okay. I want to talk, yes, I want to talk about the extended family. So we'll probably start with them as you have indicated. But I want to talk about this full psychological impact. Then I want to talk about the physical impact.
I'm giving you,
People,
Doc.
I'm going to make
Doc, I'm giving you all the time
I'm
you
going to
want.
make a,
I'm giving you all
I
the
have the
time you
time,
want.
right?
Yes, you have the
Right.
time, man.
So,
I ain't cutting you short. You have the time. Talk.
okay, great. Because I and then I am hoping that some people will call so that we can make it an interactive session too.
Yes, we'll do that. We'll take some
So
calls a
I
little
want to
later.
talk about right. So I want to talk about the family by extension. How are they affected? Then I want to talk about the psychological and emotional trauma. Then I want to talk about the physical trauma that impact, and then I also want to talk about the social impact on all that we're seeing there. People just look at things on the surface level and you say, okay, well, no, that's a job. No, it is not like that. So let's talk about the family first. When we talk about the family, Sheldon, you have to understand that one when I used to teach social studies at Grenada SDA Comprehensive, when you talk about the function of the family, we go back very basic. One of the functions of the family, in addition to procreation and socialization, a very key component of the function of the family is to provide for the basic needs of your family. So, father and mother, Sheldon, and I know you have a son, at least a child, and so
Sons,
you,
three.
you have more than one, right? Yeah.
Three.
Oh, three.
Yeah,
Oh, so
three.
you're past me. But what I'm saying here is that as a father, so let me tap into that fatherly side of you. As a father, you will make any sacrifice there is to be made for your son or your daughter. So if one is sick, Sheldon will walk barefoot to make sure that he gets to see the doctor or she gets her medication. That's a basic function of the family. And any parent who does not appreciate and embrace that function is really not a good parent, right? I'm not judging anybody here, but I'm just telling you that because now a father and a mother who, and Sheldon, I don't want us to just think of MNIB. MNIB is the current situation that we're dealing with. But, and I don't want to make this about me by any ways, But within the last 6 months, there have been, and we have evidence, so there is no arguing about all the number. I heard one person on a program, on a Sunday program, say that he knows of only 6 people that went home. And that was recent. He said that.
That's ridiculous.
Right? Right. Yeah. He used to be a member of the NNP anyway, but he said there's only 6 people that he can count, and there is no fact to this avalanche of people that we were talking about. But we have records that there are more than 600 letters of dismissals have been issued to people for the last 6 months. So let's put this in perspective also, together with MNIB. So when a child looks and sees the tears, there is only so much we can hide from our family and our extended family and our children, Sheldon. They see when we're sad, they know that mommy or daddy is sad. When they know that something is upsetting. And so even if they are 2-year-old, they're 10-year-old, even the teenagers, they look at the distress that the parents are bringing home, the uncertainty, the frustration. Sometimes you come home and you cry. Sometimes you come home and you're wondering, because now you have to start thinking. I mean, because the decision for your job is not yet finalized. So you're hanging in there, but you're hanging in by a thread. Emotionally, you're not connected. Your mind wanders. You can't give up your best self. You can't even be the best husband or the best spouse. You can't be the best parent because that's what's going on psychologically. I don't even think that Grenadians understand all of this firing, what it has done to our society and what it is doing to our children and to our families. So let me say this here quickly. That all of these things, this, I call it, Sheldon, we're going to use a few big words tonight because after all, this is psychology. So in the family, you have what is called psychological dysregulation. In other words, their mind wanders. They are not in a position to enjoy the good cooking. Laughter in the family, it subsides. That joyous moment of family togetherness is now dismantled because mommy could lose her job anytime. I don't know if I'm going to get school books. Look, my shoe need changing, but we might have to hold on, and I have to walk, with a shoe that is flip-flopping because daddy might lose his job, and we need to be able to buy food, and we need to be able to pay the bill, because if Grenle cuts us off, or if Nawasa cuts the water off, we are in a very difficult situation. So Sheldon, yes, children and children's performance. So what we are going to see, Sheldon, and this is measurable, what we might see as effect of parents losing their livelihood would be a sort of performance, diminished performance in external exams, because children are not happy. Children, we perform best when we are stable, and any instability causes that emotional upheaval in our lives. So therefore, while children are studying, trying to figure out their math and their chemistry and their physics, they're also thinking about, boy, I don't even know what I'm going to eat for lunch tomorrow. I don't even know if mom is going to have $250 to give me to pay the bus. This is what we're talking about, children. And people are blinded. Certain people are blinded by this reality. And it's going to hit home. And we are going to feel it down the line. We may not be, everybody is happy about certain things now, but when the rubber hits the road, then that's when we are going to start to see the effects. And I pray, God, that this does not prolong.
So those are just some of the effects on the family, because you could also have, according to what you said there, the tense relationship now between the spouse, with the spouse. So the husband and the wife, they're quarreling, they're having those kind of problems. All of this caused because of the psychological trauma. You used a word a short while ago.
Yes, yes. People, you know, let me move. We're gonna come back a little to the family because we
We're going
can't
to circle
miss
to
the
it.
family because
Yeah.
because employment and unemployment, whether it's employment or unemployment, it involves the entire family, right? Just like a sickness and illness in one member of the family is a family issue. And I that's how I treat people. So I say to them, if it's alcoholism, if it's mental health, mental illness in the family, when one person is affected, it affects the entire family. So let me look a little at the psychological impact on the person and slash the family. As I said, we look for stability in life. We look, and the human being, us people, we spend 80% of our lives trying to satisfy our basic necessity, okay, of food, clothing, shelter. That's what we spend our money in. Once in a while, after we satisfy this food, clothing, and shelter, we might take a trip to America, or somebody might send for us, that kind of thing. But basically, we spend the greater part of our existence and our life just trying to provide food, clothing, and shelter for us. And when there is a threat to our ability to be able to provide these things, then we have things like anxiety stepping in, children. And there are some people, children and our listeners, who are already predisposed to mental health challenges. And that's a fact. People don't understand that. So when you see people getting in arguments in the community or with a spouse, and you're saying, well, where is this coming from? It may be that they already have a predisposition to flare-ups and psychological turmoil in them, but the stability that was once provided kind of cover it up. So now, with this anxiety and this uncertainty about the provision of the food, clothing, and shelter, exposes the inner being. And that's why you may have people suffering arguments, easily angered, easily frustrated, cursing, hitting out at spouses, hitting out at children for very small things that they once had a control over, but now it's exacerbated by the uncertainty. And that's what happened. Now, let me mention two things, and then I'll pause a little. Sheldon, when the body is in a state of stress, I'm going to teach tonight. When the body is in a state of stress, the body produces two chemicals, adrenaline and cortisol. Now, those two chemicals are nature's way. That's how God designed it. Our bodies, that's nature's way of protecting itself. So if you get anxious, if somebody comes at you, your body produces this adrenaline and this cortisol to give you the ability to run or to fight, or to take it, or if it's a heavy load, to lift a car for your child. You are able to do that. That's how nature puts it. But when it is an uncertainty about a job, or you lose your job and your livelihood and you're unable to provide for your family, your body goes into what is called a perpetual state of stress. And so your body continues to produce this adrenaline and this cortisol. And what it does, Sheldon, is very toxic. Adrenaline and cortisol are toxic chemicals to the body. And that's how some people develop what is called ulcers of the stomach, because adrenaline and cortisol are really chemicals. It is sugar. It's a bolt of sugar that rushes. So you become frightened. A dog pounces at you, and that adrenaline rush comes in, and it can cause you to black out. Two people fighting in a bar, and the adrenaline is so high that he blacks out. That's why the term Temporary insanity is a legal, medical, and legal term that is used in defense. When this adrenaline comes, you black out. Now, the point is, what I'm saying here, when you get a letter of termination, you went to work this Thursday, and Friday morning you go and you get a letter, don't come back on Monday. Your body goes into a perpetual state of producing adrenaline and cortisol, and it's dangerous for the system. It can cause sleeplessness. It can cause disturbance in your eating habits. It can cause poor sexual function. And these are some of the. So when you ask about fighting with spouses and how family members, you become a sort of changed person overnight because of this uncertainty. So think of what has been happening in the lives of 600 people, and then you have another 40 or 50 from acting board to that are in limbo, as it were. So right now, the state of Grenada and families and people on a whole, we are hurting. They are hurting, and we think it's life as usual or normal, and it is not, Sheldon. It is not.
No, this is, and many of the comments here I'm seeing are just saying this is a very informative program. Um, Doc, so what you're saying here, it's way past you just fire somebody and they go on home and then they go and find something to do. You could actually be destroying homes, destroying families, and even destroying the individual, because the individual, not only on the psychological level, but on the physical level as well, because you're speaking about the is it cortisone and
Yeah,
adrenaline?
cortisol.
Cortisol
But
and
but
adrenaline that
yes,
could actually damage the body over a period of time
but
or
let me
cause them
also tell
to.
you. Mm, let me help you to understand what is cortisol, what the body produces. Do you know that you can go to the store and you can get something called hydrocortisone?
Yes.
If your child has a little rash on his hand, you put that there and that eat away the rash. Well, Sheldon, that is what the body is producing on the inside, And think, yes, in a perpetual state of stress, your body produces something similar to that chemical, and so it's inside. It eats away your inside. Sheldon, people don't know what stress does, and this is something that we have to continually teach, so that when somebody loses his job, is not go and find another job. When you see people are in tears, when you see they are having a psychological breakdown, a psychotic break, it is because of all these chemicals that are secreted in the body that's destroying the health of the person. Yes, Sheldon.
Very, very informative, Doc, because I knew, like, I have one particular friend I know, anytime his blood pressure gets high, like when he's stressing and his blood pressure gets high, he starts to get some dark spots around his neck. Anytime I start to see dark spots around his neck or dark spots under his eyes, I know he under stress. So I say, man, you check your blood pressure. So it's all of these chemicals could be causing things like this when the body is under
Absolutely,
stress.
Sheldon. Absolutely. Sheldon, there are people who break out in certain rashes. I tell you this, I know people who break out in a rash. Even if you raise your voice, sometimes they just have a simple thing at work among their peers. They might get a letter of warning, or the boss might call them, and tell them they go home and they're breaking out in rashes for the next couple of days. Now think of losing your job, losing your family financial security. The banks are after you for that little piece of land or the little car that you just bought. The credit union is after you, and you don't know where your next meal is coming from. This is a this is torture. This is high-handed torture. This is wicked. This is callous. This is inconsiderate. Sheldon, I could continue to use adjectives after adjectives to describe what is happening. I want to go, so with the psychological um, instability that happens with the stress hormone and the sleepless nights and the sleeplessness, there are some people who may fall asleep, but they will wake up and they can't go back to sleep. Or there are some people who just having problems falling asleep totally. Your eating habits will change. Sheldon, upset stomach, things like upset stomach and ulcers that can happen with the physical body. And Sheldon, there is something that sets in. I'm going to use a big word here. It's called anhedonia. Anhedonia. That is when people are so stressed out that they lose an appetite or desire for the things that they once enjoyed. So they go into what is called a state of depression. And Sheldon, it is not impossible for you to look at some of these people who you might see them walking on the street and looking for a job, but they are in a state of depression. That 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 they're about to give up. Sheldon, and we're going to talk about the social impact in a while. When we talk about crimes and violence and all of that can all arise out of a state of disequilibrium.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not what you're doing tonight. Is not a program happenstance or by accident. This is for our nation to wake up to their senses and to say to themselves, "Wow, you mean by firing somebody or by threatening somebody, their allegiance or their political affiliation or can cause all of that?" Yes. So what you're doing tonight is awakening a nation to the need for people to be more careful with how we treat each other, how we treat people's livelihood, how we treat people's employment, their job, and think of their family and think of what we can cause or what can happen to them in the long run. And if we start thinking that, very often we say, have a heart, man, I mean, and that's not politics. It's just like conversation between you and me. We would say, man, have a heart. Have a heart simply means to put yourself in a position where you could understand another person and their plight for security, for safety, for well-being of themselves and their family.
Yes, indeed. And the thing is, you've mentioned several adjectives there to describe what is being done. But Doc, you have a situation where some people are being told, some people who are still on the job now are being told, you going home the end of this month, or you going home in the next set of people that going home. You've had a situation where I knew of one individual who was the organizing for work and so on. They got a call this Saturday that you're no longer employed, and that was the last working day of the year. They got a call on the Saturday. As of tomorrow, the 1st of January, you're no longer employed. Yeah? And you have others who are being told now, hey, you all blocking space, we're coming for those jobs. People who have been doing a good job, they can't be faulted on the job that they've been doing. And they are being told by operatives of the National Democratic Congress of Grenada, senior people in the organization and influential people in the organization, that they're going home. You've had instances of some people who have spoken, some of them have called radio programs, they've said it, that they got a message from a senior person in NDC, hey, you see you're going home next month. And so said, so done, they receive a letter. That's the kind of thing that's being done to torture the person a little more, that it's coming. So the anticipation of that letter coming, that it's coming, or you believe it's coming, and you're being reminded constantly, you ain't how long again, it's coming. Hello?
Yeah, and this is part of what I'm saying. This is the torture that I'm talking about. The creation of this confusion and uncertainty in the life, what it can do to you. It is like killing someone with slow poison. It's a slow, agonizing process of telling someone you're next, and that person doesn't know whether or not you are speaking the truth. But so they're hanging in there, very suspicious, very agonizing, and anxious, maybe about their well-being. And when you put a person in a position of uncertainty, and I'm using this word over and over because that's what's happening right now. I have spoken to people, key people in MNIB who have called me, and whom I have reached out to because I know some of them. Some of them I have taught in school, etc. Um, and and one person said to me, Dr. P, we already know what's going to happen. It's just taking time. And all of this consultation is meaningless because they have already decided what they are going to do. And I heard you the other night saying that you have some, you have some inkling as to what is going to happen. And I found it very interesting because this so here is what they don't understand and what I want our listeners to understand tonight. You see, this consultation is a form of torture. It's a way to prolong the agony of the ultimate end for many workers at MNIB. It is like baiting them into a position of defenselessness, and so that people can say, "Well, we gave it a fair try. We gave this the situation an opportunity and this is the outcome." I am saying they already know, but they're prolonging it into making you believe that you have a chance where you don't have a chance. This is a sad piece of
The other aspect of it is that during the consultation itself, the staff itself at MNIB are coming in. Now, no one is saying that you have perfect staff at the MNIB, but some of the vile things that are being said by some individuals, not the vast majority, but some individuals about the staff, has to take its toll on these individuals as well. You have basically staff being called thieves, they're being called unprofessional and different. And the thing is, some of the people who are saying it, and I'm not saying this is coming from everybody at the different forums, but some of the people that are saying it are painting with a really broad brush, so that people know you're working at MNIB and somebody looking at you as a thief, that you thief $4 million and disappear, or that you just take people produce and go home with it or some kind of thing. So this have a psychological effect on the workers as well.
Well, it will, and it has, and it will continue so until this thing ends. Simply because you are absolutely right. Everyone who walks in and out or wears an MNIB uniform is now looked upon as a scam, as a defrauder of the farmers, as a thief, as a someone that you can't trust. It therefore means that credibility in the community right now among the workers of MNIB is at zero. Not only that, when credibility in your organization and in your board and in the community that you serve is challenged in that way, you can't have productivity. It therefore means that the quicker that they decide on this MNIB debacle, it's better for the people, for the workers. It is better for the workers now, because the more you prolong it, is the longer the agony of the workers, and that is the fact.
Additional to that, it's also going to affect their ability to find a job otherwise, because if it's being said that, look, you all do all of this wrong things within the organization, and then the same people have to apply for a job elsewhere, they're carrying over that stigma of having been involved in something wrong or the other, which is going to affect their ability to find a job, causing more stress again.
Yes. Either way, there is no win for the workers of MNIB. And I know, in every organization there are times when you need to restructure. There is no question that MNIB has been placed. And we're not taking the time to go into why MNIB has become a failed institution. I believe that when the PRG instituted MNIB, they were making money. Because they were bringing in sugar, rice, milk, and they had the soul. But these days, guess what has happened? MNIB has evolved into a place where right now there are two independent people who are bringing in sugar on behalf of MNIB. MNIB doesn't have the money to bring in the sugar, and I know of the two people who bring in sugar and pay for it on behalf of MNIB, and they're getting a commission. Plus, they have full access to the first amount of sugar that comes. So not only, and these are two distributors, so they're making money twice. They're getting a commission for purchasing the sugar on behalf of the government, and then they have full access to the sugar when it comes to be distributors. And that's one of the things that's happening, that is going to happen in MNIB. That, one or two people are going to benefit wholeheartedly from the importation of these basic commodities. These are life-sustaining commodities, sugar and milk and rice. That's what every household uses. But beside the point, so what is going to happen here is that you are going to find that whatever is happening right now is only a sham for what they're going to do and what they have planned to do. Because when you listen to the Prime Minister already came with the solution here. He said that there were two options. When you as the leader come and you say, okay, there are two options, we're going to dissolve MNIB totally and we are going to rehire people and under a new entity, etc. Or we are going to restructure, we're going to terminate 40 or 50 jobs and we are going to restructure. These are the two options. And then when the workers kick up against it and the population decided that no, you can't do that. Now they are calling for consultation. Well, let's consult now and see what we're going to do. But I trust me that the end solution is going to be either one of the two that the Prime Minister brought forward in that meeting. Yes, go ahead.
No, and I continue to say I believe that it would be one option, and then with the full intention of the second option. The first option, send home nearly half the workers, say that you're restructuring, give the workers who are there the ones that remain, a few more months with us. They will also have a sword of Damocles hanging over their head. And then after a few months say, well, it's not working out. We still have to be paying staff, and so we have to close it down totally. So they're going to try option one and then roll into option two. That's my full belief. And they already know that's what they're going to do. I fully believe they already know that's what they're going to do. I could confirm they already know that's what they're going to do. Send home some of the staff, say the restructuring, and then they're going to send home the others after a few months by saying, we tried, this didn't work, we need to shut it down.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Somehow. So we are in a very unpredictable, uncertain times for many people. Now, when you talk just MNIB, you look at 50 workers. If you multiply 50 by 4 and assume that these people have wife, a spouse, or a significant other, and 2 children. So you see that's 200 people just off the bat from one institution that are going through all of what we're talking about here tonight. And then you do the extension for maybe their brothers and sisters or their parents who now have to chip in to help these families. You are putting another family, adding another family into the stressful situation. And now you are adding the stressors to the financial institutions from which these people got their loans, or they have their utilities paid, or their rent have to be paid. So now you are involving a lot of more people in this trying situation. Looking for another word, but let's use it. This really stressful situation. So you have to add people always to the mix when you're dealing with employees. They're not just employees singly living by themselves and no family and no friends and no funding agencies or institutions funding them. So when you get a letter now, when you get a letter of termination, you take that letter to your car dealership or to your credit union and say, I might be late because I don't have a job now. Or now that financial institution is looking to repossess your vehicle and puts them under stress now because now they may not get what it is that they paid out for whatever it is. So what I'm trying to say here, there is a spin-off that is far reaching than just the termination of a person.
Okay, and we've looked at the physical. You're looking at the economic and the social right now.
Yes.
Okay. So on the economic level, we know that now these persons' spending power would be diminished. Now we're hearing about severance pay and so on, and severance and that sort of thing. Severance is one thing, but the severance have a day that it's going to finish, and you still have to service your loans. In fact, the next thing you have a loan and you take up the entire severance. How do you survive for the months after that?
Yeah.
And then some of
severance
the
is a one-off payment, and you people have to be very careful and cautious with deals like that. When you have a job and a stable job and you are permanent or you have been there for a long time, you establish a sort of worthiness, whether it's credit or whether it is your ability to pay your bills. You look forward to that. And so when that is taken away, then it interferes with that stability and worthiness that you have created for yourself. So a severance may work for you for a couple months, but thereafter, what happens? And that is very significant. I think I want to talk a little. We haven't talked about it and yet, and that is the other side of the social impact of losing a job or could have or will have, and that is there is a possibility with 600, and there are threats to have more, because remember, Sheldon, that all of these people who have lost their job must now try to find alternative jobs. So whether they go into the private sector and look for jobs, or whether they try to get into their own small businesses because they need to survive. There is going to come a time when the market is going to be saturated. And that's something that we have to be mindful of, because the private sector can only absorb so many. And that's one of the things that the former government has to take a lot of credit for, in that they looked out for the disadvantaged, the single mothers, and they they a lot of people have started to think of the NNP as a government for the poor and the vulnerable. They say we created, or the NNP created, these terminologies. Well, these terminologies were not created by the New National Party. They were created since the time of Bible times. Remember, Jesus said when he was preaching, he said, the poor you have with you always. He said always. It therefore means that it doesn't matter how many rich people or satisfied people there are in the world, the poor will always be with you, because there are people who really can't work. There are people who, because of ill health and physical limitations, they cannot work. There are people with mental health conditions that will not allow them to be gainfully employed. There are people in society that are developmentally incapable of having a job. It therefore means that the state must now look out for these people. And so what you may find is that there is going to be an upsurge. And I don't want to say callously crimes, but I am going to say, Sheldon, that as difficult times come around, and if you ask any sociologist, go down to SGU now and ask the sociology teacher, Dr. His name just came to my mind. But if you were to ask the sociologist anything about income, job situations, and stress and crime, there is a correlation between loss of income, poverty, and an increase in crime. And so I don't want to say necessarily we might see an increase in crime, but we might see an increase in deviant behaviors where people are now forced to try to get food, basic necessities for their children and for the family. So at night, when people are asleep, you might find them going and dig your potatoes and cut your bananas and dig your yams and kill a sheep or a goat because of the necessity to survive. And I would hate for a society to get to the point where we become so insensitive to the needs of other people that we feel, or people feel, that the only way that they can survive, Sheldon, is to do those, underhanded activities that can lead them into trouble.
So we run the risk here because if you take into consideration all the people on the housing brigades in different areas, they were sent home. The environmental wardens, they were sent home. You have people who were working along with the SEED program and other programs, the housing officers, and so they were sent home. Then you have other individuals in different departments that have been sent home. I heard Mr. Clifford Bridgman was saying that he was sent home. I know Royden Bihari from the Ministry of Youth was sent home, and several others, all different places that have been sent home. And with this volume of people that have been sent home, and the psychological and economic impacts that would have, and physical impacts that has on the individuals, we could see a rise in crime with the volume of people.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily even from them, but could be from their home circle, their family.
Well, I'm thinking. There you go. I mean, right now we're not just looking at the people who have lost their jobs, or the people who marketing board are about to lose their job. We're talking about the family. We're talking now about a child at school who may not have as much because the family now can't afford to give him any money. He or she stealing somebody else's lunch. So, small things like that, small things like that. Mm-hmm. We may say that's insignificant and that's bad behavior. No, that's survival. Think about a parent who has two children or one child going to school, where the school is not within walking distance, and that child needs $5 a day, $250 to pay the bus, plus snack money or lunch money, because the school probably doesn't even. But even if the school cooks or has a tuck shop, he has to find money to buy something to eat. So you're looking at $10 a day. One parent has two children. That's $20 a day, Sheldon. When a parent has lost his or her job or the ability to provide this is saying, this is inviting. And this is not what we're saying tonight. Is not to say we're giving credence to bad behavior or to stealing or deviant behavior. We're saying no. This is sociologically sound research that we are talking about here. That this is what happens when people lack, when the ability to provide for the basic needs of the family is threatened, and you put them in a position. This is just the outcome. That's what sociology say. That's why psychology and sociology are so closely related, because we study behavior, the mind and behaviors, and why people do what they do. And sociology studies what people do in society, what and how they do what they do. And that's the field. So we put people in this position, and the research is going to show that people are going to engage in more deviant behaviors.
So it means that our police force needs to be on the lookout. And we also have to put various mechanisms in place to deal with these possibilities. Because again, you're not saying that this is exactly what would take place, but with the circumstance that has been created, the possibility is high that this could be taking place with the individuals that are involved.
Absolutely, Sheldon. When you create a platform, you actually by your actions you are giving people the right and more or less the freedom to engage in a certain kind of behavior, because granted, like when things are bad, people are going to look for ways to survive. We often use the adage that says invention is the mother of necessity. Well, how is it goes again? Yeah, something. But whatever, when there is a need, we look for ways to satisfy that need. And when people are hungry, you will not, Sheldon, and I will not either. I will not watch my neighbor's fruit on their tree and let my family go to waste. Now I may ask, but what if it's something that you need to buy and you have no money? You want to tell me that you will not engage in a certain kind of behavior, elusive, deviant behavior, so that you could feed your family? And I am hoping that this does not happen. And I'm hoping that we do not see an upsurge in crime or deviant behavior. But I'm saying when we create through the actions of government or organizations, when we create that fertile ground for these behaviors, we have to in some ways take responsibility for it. And I'm hoping that the authorities are going to be man enough to take responsibility for all of the actions, not just the social upheavals that might endure, but also the physical and the psychological disequilibrium that they are placing upon families. And just callously, the way some of these letters of termination, those in Carriacou, those for the cleaners in the markets and stuff, who just get callous letters without any human human feelings in it, empathy. There is no empathy coming from those letters. Those letters are just dry and callous and wicked, and they are just aimed at dehumanizing people. And when you put people in this dehumanizing way, people are going to react. We I don't know necessarily that we have seen the full reaction, and I think maybe because people are still in shock of what is happening. It's like we just wake up one day and we just realizing this, Sheldon, and it hasn't hit home yet. And when it does, we are going to see the ripple effects of all of that.
Indeed. And Doc, I want to, because we're just closing in on an hour, and it's now 9:28. I want to let folks know the phone line is open, but we won't be able to take the calls via WhatsApp because we have Doc on the WhatsApp line. So you'll have to call us direct on 440-7377. And for those of you out there in the diaspora, I'm seeing many of you on right now. You can call on 347-329-3101. Let me say that again, 347-329-3101. Or you can call directly on 440-7377. This has proved to me that I need to put in a second WhatsApp line.
Yes,
I do need to put in.
Do, huh?
Yeah, I have an idea how to do it, so I need to put in a second WhatsApp line.
Okay.
Doc, moving right along with this, though, we've spoken of what can happen and what probably, most likely, and we're pretty sure is happening with these people and their families right now, even their friends, because sometimes you have a friend who is a friend that anytime they need a look at $20 to send the child to school, is you that does come by. And and if you're not working again, they are affected, They are affected.
Yep.
Sometimes it look like they're shopping by you, but that's your friend. That's how you all roll. Sometimes you need something, you could ask them. Sometimes they need something, they could ask you. But now they can't depend on you again as a friend to help them out because you're no longer employed, so it affects them as well.
Yes.
With all of that being said, I want you now to speak to the workers out there who have been sent home and some of those who are still under that sword of Damocles, who are still under that executioner's axe, um, just stressing because they're afraid of when it will fall or may fall. What are some of the ways that they can deal with the situation? What are some of the techniques you would say that an individual who is in that situation should use to try and de-stress or to try and on a psychological and on a physical level to come to terms with what has happened or what is happening with them right now? What are some of the techniques that they can use?
Right. Okay. So this one, it's this one is a difficult one. Okay, and it's difficult because we like finality. It's either you terminate me or you don't terminate me. It's either you send me home or you don't send me home. It's either you tell me yes or you tell me no. The worst thing is ask any student when you write exams in May and you know it's coming in August, September, and you're waiting for your CXE passes. That's the worst time of your life,
Mm-hmm.
because you know the date is coming here and you're just waiting, 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 waiting. So one of the things that, well, a couple things that we tell, we want people to start doing is to start self-talk. Okay. And I'm going somewhere with this, so listen carefully. Start talking to self. One of the things you can start telling yourself is that, one, conditions like these that we have right now will not last forever. There is no question that this cannot last forever. Secondly, that it is not man that gives bread. A lot of times we think, you know, because man can terminate you and fire you, people tend to believe that man has the ultimate say in whether or not you eat or drink or you starve. And don't give people that authority over your life. It's hard to not give people that kind of authority. So it's one of the things that you start to self talk with. And thirdly, start looking for ways to create your own happiness, your own joy, and try not to let this situation bring you down. So, sometimes under depression, under uncertainty, anxiety, we start losing a zest for life. The things that, going to the beach, walking, running, jogging, cooking, we start losing the joy in life. And that's one of the things that people have to be very cautious about when you are placed in those difficult situations. Still try to find things that you can enjoy and have fun with your spouse or your children. Take them out, still go walking, engage in conversation, watch television, joke around. If you were humorous, continue to be humorous. Because if we don't, we're going to set in a stage of more depression and more feelings of despondency. Fourthly, um, do carry on your life. Try to carry on your life as normal as it can be. You know, do the things that you normally would do, because it's a difficult time. And you talked about, sometimes friends would depend on you for a little holdout until they get pay, because of the certainty of them getting their pay. You know, um, they may back away. This is an opportunity for you to forge deeper friendships at this time, deep, deeper involvement with people and for people, because if you start ostracizing people and going into your own little hole because of what is going on with you right now, you would realize that you are going to go into a tailspin of depression and anxiety and despondency. And you don't want to do that. So reach out. And I tell people that all the time. When you're troubled and you don't know what to do, or you are finding it difficult to find solution, reach out. And especially if you have children, reach out to a professional, reach out to your clergy, reach out to someone in the community, maybe a teacher, someone that's respected and knowledgeable that can help you to navigate this rough time. It's hard, it's rough, and sometimes people go into state of uncontrollable depression because here is one thing that we didn't talk about, Sheldon. You know, when a person loses his job, or more or less his or her ability to provide for their family, they start going into a place where they believe that they are inadequate. You know, if you're a father and you're accustomed providing, for your children, and you reach a state in your life overnight where you can't do that, you start feeling inadequate. And if you start feeling inadequate, you are probably going to go into a place of psychological ill health. So, so start seeing yourself as important. And the last thing I want to say is that be creative, Sheldon. There are some people who may lack certain skills, employability skills. And what we are seeing, and that's the unfortunate thing, because what the former government, the government of the NNP did, was to look at people who had little skills and brought them into programs where they can improve their skills and thereby improve their efficiency in the work environment. And gradually people moved from zero skills to skills where they felt confident, they were able to self-actualize and do certain things, and then at the end of the month got a little money so that they can pay bills and they can feel good about themselves. They're working and they can buy stuff and they can send their children to school without a problem. And you now take that away. And when you take that away, these people now, with this little skill that they have, may not be able to jump into a new job or apply into a new job, where they require a different skill set. And so what you have to do now, the little skills that you have, be creative, as best as you can. Start cooking. I see one lady online, Facebook right now. She lost a job and she is cooking, because she has skills to cook. So she's taking orders online and delivering lunches. She has someone probably helping her deliver the lunches, etc. So you may get into the confectionery business. You may have to start planting in your backyard, but you have to be creative. We can't give up. Sheldon, the words of encouragement that should be coming from us tonight, you and I, is to let people know that there is hope and there is this thing cannot last forever. Yeah.
Indeed, and words of hope. So learn to turn your hand. Don't just wallow
Yes.
in self pity that, well, they send me home. And because and the other thing too is that you can't let people who have done this kind of thing to you believe that they've won. You can't let them
Yeah.
believe that they have won. Show them that they have not been able to break you. So you've got to get out there. You've got to start doing a little, whether it's as you mentioned, the planting, or whether they're going to sell the confectionery. Or so even though the price of sugar gone up, doc, so the confectionery, it's a little more expensive to do the confectionery now because the price of the sugar gone up. So even the soccer bag, what we call it, the juice bags, the price of that has
Bags,
gone
yes.
up. Yeah.
and 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 I tell you, it is going to be it's going to get increasingly difficult for these small businesses and business entrepreneurs. And the confectionery business is it's a very thriving business. When you look at the red mangoes and all of the jams and jellies and cheeses, guava cheese and all of these things, people were able, time and balls, etc. People were able to make a little living, the chip and thing. I see people selling in bulk on the side of the road, and they are able to maneuver and to make life. And now, come February, already within the last couple of months, every month, price of brown sugar moved from November from 150. Right now it is $2, and in some places it's like $2 plus. In a month and a half time,
Some
and
people
now
have it
come in
230.
February,
Yeah, some people have it
230.
230, and yeah, there are places that have it like that. Yeah.
Right, and so come February there is going to be a 7.5% on it. So it therefore means that it is going to go up by 10-15 cents again. So it therefore means now that you are going to get smaller amounts of those confectionery for your dollar, or maybe there won't be any dollar thing anymore. The juices, etc. It won't be a dollar anymore. And so you have to look at the impact on the creative ideas of the small man and the people on the street, and realize that it's going to get increasingly difficult in 2002. Well, we are in 2023, right? Yeah.
Yes,
So
we
for
are.
the year, it's increasingly difficult, and so therefore, what is going to end up happening, Sheldon, is that people are going to have to dig deep in their creative skills, and a lot of prayers maybe, and a lot of well wishes for people in their family to help them out as much as possible. But this thing, what we're seeing here, the trend, what is trending right now, cannot continue for long.
Indeed. And I'm seeing one person here is actually saying 275 they paid for the sugar in Wester Hall. And that's before the application of the VAT next month. So, and they're already paying 275. So you can imagine what's going on some other places. So I mean, and I want to look at something here. There are particular individuals, because I'm seeing some comments on the chat. There are particular individuals who are taking joy in what is being done to supporters of the New National Party right now, and perceived supporters of the New National Party right now. They're actually laughing and encouraging more of this type of behavior. On the psychological level, what's going on with people like that? I mean, I know on the spiritual level is the devil himself that in them, but outside of that, on the psychological level, what's taking place there?
I don't know how people do it, and I find it difficult. But you are right. I have seen instances, and as I said, I don't want to make this a personal thing, but even when my contract was terminated, I saw people, and I didn't pay attention to Facebook as much, but people who saw would screenshot and send it to me. People were glad, glorifying. My job was never a political one. In fact, for the first 2 years, I was not even paid by the government for what I did. But people were glorifying and validating a determination of a contract for a service. And I have seen so many others who make disparaging remark about certain people who have been terminated or who have been sent home, as though, making statements of saying like, they deserve it. It's our time now. What do you think would have happened? Elections have consequences. And making all of those statements and removing the human side of it. And Sheldon, I don't care who did it or when it was done or how it was done in the past. But I'm just saying, I'm dealing with the currency of the situation right now. And I'm saying people like that are despicable. They show that they have no empathy. And a person without empathy, Sheldon, is a very dangerous person. Is a very dangerous person to have around you, because that person feels nothing, and they have no care in their life or in them. And that is a sad place for any human being to reach.
Yes, indeed. I mean, Doc, listening to you tonight, I knew that these people were going through. But listening to you tonight, I think myself and I dare say all of the listeners who are listening to this program, viewing this program tonight, have a clearer understanding of the evil that's taking place here right now, of the wickedness of the act that's taking place. Because, again, and I keep going back to that, these people were performing their jobs properly. It's not a situation that these people were sent home because they were not performing. They were performing their job and doing so properly, and only to be sent home because of a perception that they support a political party, or they're friends with someone in a particular political organization, or maybe even sometimes not even them, but their significant other, or a mother, or a father, or even a child is involved in the front line with the new national party, and these people are being sent home because of that. And I think, speaking to you tonight, I think all of us have gained a clearer understanding of what is taking place with these people and what we can expect in the medium and long term, and even the short term, due to what is being done now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sheldon, there is no question that Grenadians are hurting right now. And we're looking, Grenadians are begging for transparency in what we do and fairness in what we do. And when you look, I agree with you, when you look at all of the letters of termination, not one letter says your services are no longer needed because after evaluation, we deem it that you do not have the skill set for the position that you are in, or you have been warned, or we recommend you for a different position because you are not capable or you do not have the right attitude. None of these letters say anything close to that. All of the letters are saying blank. Your services are no longer needed.
Mm-hmm.
What that says to people who have been doing the job for 15 years, 16 years, 5 years, that you are inadequate or we just don't like you. And how does an employer come on the scene and say to an employee who have been there for 8 years and 9 years, sorry, we don't need you here anymore? What does that do for a person's self-esteem? What does it do for a person's own personal growth and development? What does it say about a person who has been putting out and making sacrifices for a company or for a government or for an institution for all these years? What does it say about it? It speaks volumes about someone who is carelessly going to sign a termination letter without giving you an audience or without dialoguing with you or without finding just cause for termination. It speaks volume of that person who is able to terminate your service because they assume you are a supporter of a different party or you voted for somebody different.
Now, we've spoken about some of the things that the individuals who might be under that expectation, under the stress of that. The children, what should the parents be doing with the children? And what would you encourage them to tell the children and how to interact with the children? Because I know for a fact some of them are listening because I'm getting messages in and between on my personal WhatsApp and messaging and so on. I'm getting messages. What are some of the messages you'd say that they could give to their children? What are some of the things they can do with their children to avoid the stress? And because again, as you mentioned at the beginning, the stress is not just on the parent; it's on the home unit. It's on the home unit. How do they deal with their children, particularly children who are going into exams in a few weeks?
Yeah, one of the things I encourage parents like in that situation to do, Sheldon, is not at this time um, to try not to, and it again it depends on the age of the children too, but try not to break down in front of your children. If you got to give a good cry, go outside, under the house, in the bathroom, turn on the shower, or put on the radio, turn on the television really loud. If you need to vent, if you need to give a good shout, a good cry, a good cuss, sometimes just cussing is cathartic. It relieves tension and stress. If you need to relieve stress, try not to do it in front of the children because children absorb your stress and they internalize it, and it turns into their own misgivings and their own stress. So you don't want to do much of that in front of the children. Children are smart enough to pick up that you are under stress. They read, they listen to the social media, they listen to the news, they have their cell phone. Even if they don't have cell phone, they watch television, so they know what's going on. So they know where you work, and they know how, so if you have lost your job, and so try not to make it the children's issue. Try not to make it the children's issue. Make it about you, make it about anybody else, but not the children. Try to also, the next thing is to reassure the children that everything is going to be all right. And that's where you use your creative skills, because you have to know, if you promise your child it is going to be all right, you now have to go out there and turn your hand and make something out of nothing so that they could see that everything is going to be all right, But it is going to be a difficult time for families and children. It is going to be a difficult time for Grenadians. And all we can hope for and pray for is that this thing does not last too long.
Indeed. Doc, one thing I've realized doing radio for many, many, many years now is when you don't get calls, it means, because I'm looking at the numbers and the numbers are very high viewing online, it means that you've been so clear in what you have stated that people don't need to ask questions from you for clarity, that you have been very, very clear and concise. And I want to thank you for that tonight. As we enter the last few minutes of tonight's program, I'll give you the opportunity, if there's anything you want to say as we're coming down to the end of the program, to the listeners and the viewers out there.
Yeah,
and before I say before I let you speak, you have to come back, because I realize you still have a lot to say.
Yes, absolutely. I am on my way back to Grenada anyway, so maybe next session is going to be a live session.
Yes, in studio. Yes, even better.
Yeah. Then we can have better fun. But Sheldon, we are not just physical beings. We are not just physical beings. In other words, our parents made us, but we are. There are different facets to who Sheldon is, who Gus is, who Antonio is, who Dr. Colette is. It's not just the face and the body and the figure. There is a mind. There is an emotion. There is a psychological part of us. There is even a spiritual side of us, Sheldon. And people don't get to see that. So what they see all the time is this figure. They see the locks and they see the smile with the glasses and they say, "Oh, that's Sheldon." and they think they know you, and that's not who we are. We are components of a bigger picture. The sum of our parts is not just the physical; it is spiritual, psychological, emotional being. It therefore means, what I'm trying to say, Sheldon, is that whatever happens in our lives, whatever happens to us, whatever happens about us, does not just affect, because they could destroy this outer shell that they think that they're trying to that's what people try to do. They hate you because, or they dislike you, or they want to destroy you, and they think they can destroy this physical. But there is this dimensional piece of us that, if it is well put together, they can't destroy. So what my message tonight is that they may try to destroy you because they thought, when you dipped your finger in the ink on June 23rd, that you voted one way. All right? And they may see you and they may hear you say something on radio, and they may say, okay, I don't like what he says, I'm going to try to destroy that part of you. But there is a bigger piece that they can't touch. And it's the resiliency in us, Sheldon. And it's the ability to rebound and to come again and come again. Because sometimes we are more blessed spiritually, or we are more blessed psychologically than we are blessed physically. We may have physical limitations, but then there is a bigger side to us. And that is what I want to end with, to give people hope, to say to you right now, over 600 of us have been displaced. Our ability to provide for the basic needs of our family have been destroyed by people who think that they can destroy us. And there is another 40 or 50 in MNIB, and there are some in the seed program, and every day there continues to be some who are going to be placed in this category that people want to destroy us. But there is a new dawn and a new day coming where we will thrive. Not just them, but all of us, Sheldon. And this is the piece that they can't destroy. The resiliency in us, the fight in us, the spirit in us. And I want our listeners tonight to keep that hope alive. As Jesse Jackson once said in 1984, keep hope alive. Keep hope alive that one day that the oppressors are going to be no more. One day the people who try to victimize us will cease to exist. That power that they now think that they have will be taken away, and we are going to be free. Thank you, Sheldon.
All right. We'd like to thank you so very much, Doc, for being here with us. We had you for nearly 1 hour and a half, just 3 minutes short of an hour and a half on with us. And we want to thank you so very much. And, we could have continued talking here for the next 2 hours, because there's quite a lot to discuss. So we
have a lot to say that we didn't say tonight.
Of course, that's why we're leaving an open invitation for you. As soon as you set foot on the island, you're setting foot inside the studio with us one time. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Doc. You enjoy the rest of your night, you and the family. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Great. Bye-bye. Yes, indeed, folks. We are speaking there with Dr. Augustine Panchu, clinical psychologist. And we're dealing with some aspects of what is taking place right now in relation to the unemployment situation, where people who were working yesterday could suddenly find themselves unemployed today for no other reason than what their perception of their political leaning is. Yeah. And also the situation with the marketing board staff. Understand what the staff are going through. So if you are married to, or you're in a relationship with someone working in the Marketing and National Importing Board, you've heard what Dr. Panchu was saying. You need to understand now that you have to deal with them a little differently. Understand what they're going through. Understand the stresses that they are under. Imagine having to get up in the morning and organize yourself and go to a job with these kind of expectations and stresses that these individuals have to go through. All right. So if you're related to one of them, take some time, sit down, speak with them, bring them out for a drink, bring them on the beach, let them put their foot in the sand, take a look at sea bath, that kind of thing. And sometimes as a friend or a family member, you understand somebody's under stress. You have to take the time to do something like that and try and help. So, folks, again, we'd like to thank Dr. Panchu for being on with us on Talking Points tonight. And remember, we have another doctor, that's going to be in with us on Monday's program. So remember, you have to tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody, Tut Mun Bagay. Everybody on Monday, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell will be on Talking Points with us. So we're looking forward to that one. Remember, spread the message. I believe within the comments on the Talking Points live there, you would get a link that you can share and you can spread and so on. So remember, Talking Points is on Monday. I see somebody saying do program tomorrow night. Ole don't like me, hear my voice. I'm so glad we had Dr. Panchu. Ole hear my voice. They would be on tomorrow night too. Oh gosh, have mercy now. Oh gosh, Sister Clarence, have mercy. So folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. And it's been wonderful being here with you. It's been wonderful interacting with you for this week. And you know, sometimes after running about in the daytime and so on, you know, your body's tired and it feels so tired. And when I get into studio and I start interacting with you all, it gives me back all that energy. Yeah, it's like I'm not tired again. You know, running around in the hot sun, and sometimes with me, I'm one area this hour, next hour I'm in another area, and I'm up and down and things like that. And it gives me the energy to be in here with you, interacting with you. That's why I always say, in whatever you say and whatever you do, do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. Again, condolences to my good friend out there in Karaku, Vinny, her family, her friends, her relatives, her neighbors, everyone. Just our condolences go out to them. And I know that even recently, oh God, it's difficult for the family because they had a loss. Just within the last 2 weeks, they also had another loss. And now to lose her as well, it's a really difficult one. So we just, again, like to send out our condolences to the family of Venetia Kojo out there, Venetia Kojo John out there in Karaku. I think everybody in Karaku knows Vinny. And most of you, if you're from Grenada and you go up to Karaku regularly, you would know Vinny. So we'd like to send out our condolences to her. My name's Sheldon Scott. That's it for tonight. And as I'm leaving, I'm going to give you all a nice song when I'm going. You know I like to drop one for you all when I go in.
Artists in the musical art from everyone has an obligation.
Oh yes.
To inform and educate the nation of what happening and what would happen. From that day of Massa, the artist was the first messenger.
Oh yes.
Singing song on the plantation, letting people know all what's going on. As a calypsonian with wisdom, inspiration and vision, I telling this nation I tell it that we don't want no dread political war. Men and women fighting for power and things so damn hard in Grenada. There's a battle left to be won, political one or gone. If you lost the battle, it's gone, you gone. Dr. Kid, stand up and fight. Fight with all your might if you want to win. Dr. Kid, stand up and fight. Train your troops and prepare yourself for war. Dr. Kid, stand up and fight. Your position is 75,000 strong. Dr. Kid, stand up and fight. With liars, religions, and trade unions. Dr. Kid, stand up and fight. The wealthy have two fractions. The LM say they're coming. Organizations and NGOs. Not to say this time I didn't tell you. Dr. Kid, stand up and fight.